Guys and dolls, Freedom Dad here. And so basically, what I'm here to say is to give you an understanding of what's continuing to happen in Northern Ireland right now. And it's really interesting. Um, so we've got the police coming out making a statement of people being racist. Okay. Um, that's not the truth. Okay. We've got evidence that that's not the truth. Trying to decide what way to bring it. At the minute. Um, we've got evidence that proves that the police are telling porkies here. It's not that they're telling porkies. I'm going to take that back. They're not researching. They're not researching it enough. Or, which everybody thinks is, it doesn't suit their rhetoric. So there's a lot of things that you're not finding out that doesn't suit the government's rhetoric. And it's only the people in the street that know this. And this is the common thread amongst things that go on in Britain and England in the past 15 years. The same things happened to Tommy Robinson. And I know I mention this quite a lot, but it is a perfect example to highlight what's going on in England, Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. So we always have a concerted effort from mainstream media and the police to always come down on anybody that doesn't suit the narrative of the government, i.e., anybody talking about mass immigration or talking about anything that's going on in the streets of in any of our countries because of mass immigration. There's a lot of things that you don't know that's out there right now that are going to horrify you. Um, there will be stuff I will bring into you, the stuff that should be getting highlighted by the media, but they're more interested in focusing on guys and girls who are walking about the street trying to protect their areas. And there's a common thread here that people are saying, why are these guys out there anyway? You know what I mean? What's happened? You know what I mean? So, yeah, the bottom line is that these guys are just trying to highlight something that's going on and they're using whatever means that they can to bring it to the media, to expose the media for who they truly are. And this is the thing, guys. There's only snippets of these videos that these guys put up. That's all there. All the evidence is there. You don't know what's went on in all in the whole situations of each situation that they go on about. Um, they say these men are going out and they're racist. I'm not going to say too much right now, but I can prove that they're not. You um, and it's bringing it to it's bringing it at the right time to the right people. And I'm going to just show you this wee clip. I'm not going to show you a clip. You're going to hear it clip. This is Nolan on the Nolan show today. So I'll just hopefully this will be rolling here.
On social media, one YouTube concerned parents gathered at C.S. Lewis Square in East Belfast to show their support for vigilante action. Remember, the police have described the particular group of vigilantes who we played clips from as nothing short of racist thugs. The event was live streamed on social media. One YouTuber addressed the crowd. I haven't organised this. I'm here in support of men. It's like me. Patriots, mothers and fathers, granny and granddads, uncles and aunties. They're doing a wee bit more, sitting in the house and watching YouTube every day. These men are getting up out of their seats and they're walking the streets and they're protecting your children. I just wonder what that concerned man, that concerned parent, how he feels about the East Belfast First Division. That's the group we played you yesterday. They take sticks to children. It's interesting, isn't it? Another woman who said she's been out on the streets with one of the groups also spoke to those gathered. Tell the authorities and everyone around loud and clear that no behaviour that we don't accept in our culture and our faith will be accepted and allowed to fester like it did in other parts of Northern Ireland. And they called out me for highlighting what they've been getting up to. This is people coming out to support the guys that are going through all right now in the media, and Stephen Nolan having a good wee time calling out Patriots instead of the real problem. So I've offered to speak to them. I'm offering to speak to whoever that man is. I am 100%.
So I've had long talks with a lot of friends about this. There's so many times I've really wanted to go on the show. You know what I mean? I've had emails from the producers and stuff like that. And morally, because of his stance and the way who he is and who he works for, and it's clear that he's not there for the people. I don't think morally it suits Freedom Dad to go on to a man's like that's channel on his channel. Then I thought about getting him onto my channel if he wanted to come on to my channel live, like as it's that opportunity's always open. Um, but then I thought, why give him anything? You know, there's plenty of podcasters, YouTubers out there, citizen journalists that I could talk to about what's going on. You know, and it'll show how inadequate the so-called real journalists, the ones paying the big bucks, aren't doing their job. And it's not that they're not doing their job, it's that they're not allowed to do their job now. Now, whether I've spoke about this, whether it's because like Nolan's one of Richard's, he is the richest journalist in Northern Ireland, I'm led to believe, multi-millionaire and all the rest of it. Whether it's because people with money can be compromised, or whether it's because he's compromised in some other way, you know. But for some reason, these journalists would rather just label everybody that speaks out against the government's narrative as far, far right racist thugs, without delving into it, without looking into it, you know. And you know, this isn't about behaviour. This isn't about whether you like the way people behave or how you like the way people talk to people. You know, this isn't about whether you felt hurt because you watched a video. This is about crimes. If there's crimes being committed, if people are really being racist, you know. And the facts of the matter is that there's been no crimes committed. Nobody's been racist, and there's evidence to the contrary. If that's the right word. And you know, yes, okay, fair enough. Nolan is reaching out and he's wanting to get to the bottom of it. But we've seen how he gets to the bottom of things. We see how he shuts people down. We see how anybody that doesn't agree with him is wrong. And it's always about immigration. It's always about racists. It's always about far right. And eventually, you know, not only will people get sick of hearing them saying the same thing every time a patriot stands up to be counted, but they're going to actually get sick of saying it themselves. It's going to get to a stage where they're going to be feeling uncomfortable, constantly calling everybody far right and racist that speaks out against mass immigration. What are the stories that they aren't bringing you? One of the stories they're not bringing you is a young man being beat by a group of foreigners who done a TikTok saying they were going out to do this. They're going out to look for a white guy, finding a white guy, beating him to a pulp till he's unconscious and bloody, and then continue to kick him in the head. And then after his girlfriend jumps on top of him to protect him from any more blows that he can't protect himself from, they drag her off him, turn him over on his side, and start stabbing him in the back. 2 days ago, we had a young Irishman getting chased by a mob of 20 to 30 black men. When they caught him, they beat him to a pulp. Lucky enough, the guy's alive. Don't know how serious the injuries are, but it didn't look good. Quite a lot of you have seen that. You know, these aren't one offs. There's a lot going on that none of these people like Stephen Nolan will bring to you because it doesn't suit the narrative. It doesn't suit the narrative of calling everybody a racist and far right. It doesn't agree with men coming into our country and attacking our own men and hunting white men down on the street. Because we don't agree with the fear that our government has with Islam and how they were able to go through England, city after city, and groom children while the police looked on and while the social workers went to 15-year-old's wedding, a 15-year-old girl, 15. And that's the rhetoric they don't want you to know. They just want you to think that everybody that disagrees with all that is far right and racist. There's nothing wrong with immigration. Oh, you're just far right and racist. There's plenty wrong with immigration. That's just the tip of the iceberg. You know, you could sit down and do research and bring bit after bit after bit, piece after piece after piece of what's happening to people that are born and bred in this country, granny and granddads in this country, what's happened to them, how they're being victims to men who came from other countries. Now, what they like to say is that they're not all bad. They're not all bad. Yes, I know, Stephen, they're not all bad. But at what price do you say to yourself, well, we're just going to let them in anyway? How many of our children and how many women need to suffer for that price because we don't know who's good and who's bad? I'm invested in this country. I've got a 9 month old beautiful daughter who, unfortunately, because I'm a late dad, because of my upbringing and my lifestyle, I didn't have any opportunities to bring a child into this world until recently, till the last year. None of us know how long we've got left, and that's a worry. It's a worry of what we're leaving behind. It's not far right and racist to worry about what we're leaving behind, what state we're leaving our country in, what men we're leaving to run about our country when we leave this country. There's nothing wrong with that because we're invested in this country. We're leaving children behind. And unless you're a father, a mother, a grandfather, a granny, an uncle, or an auntie, then you won't get it because you're not invested in the country. That's what I think. That's what I believe. And with the evidence that I can gather as an orphan from South Belfast, I can't imagine the evidence that you could gather, but yet you're silent, Mr. Nolan, constantly silent about the horrors that's going on in our countries while calling everybody far right and racist because you're the puppet of the government, just like the police force right now. They're doing everything they can to shut down patriotism, people like me, and people like the East Belfast First Division and the TikTokers that are spreading the word out and highlighting that there's a problem here. No matter what the government try to say, no matter what Stephen Nolan tries to say, no matter what the police try to say, there's a big problem. And at the end of the day, I don't create the news. We don't make the news, and we don't tell lies. See it. We say it as it is because we're not compromised. Nothing over us. You can't buy us, and we're not scared of prison. So all you're going to get is honesty, truthful honesty from working class men who don't have anything apart from their future and the life they've led and the experience that they can bring from that life. And having family is more than anything, more than any amount of money or gold or fortune or whatever floats your boat, you know. So we don't want for nothing, you see, and we're fathers and we would die for our daughters. And every father in Northern Ireland is exactly like me. And the only reason there's not more like me right now is because of the way you're silencing everybody and scaring everybody by calling everybody far right and racist. I would really love to sit down. I'm going to cut that out. I would really, I would, I had to cut a bit out there, you know what I mean? I would really like to sit down and destroy your narrative live, you know, but you'll never do it. You would never ever do that because you couldn't have an orphan from South Belfast, a bank robber who's been in prison, spent most of his life in prison, quite a lot of his life in prison anyway, and quite a lot of that in solitary confinement. You wouldn't want a guy like me embarrassing you because I can blow your rhetoric out of the water over and over again. It's it's not it wouldn't even be fair. I would have to hold back a wee bit because I wouldn't want to embarrass you too much. But that's where we're at today. This is who's got the power. People like Stephen Nolan, because he's the puppet for them, and that's the truth of it. And you can dress it up whatever way you want. The people on the street know the truth. You just need to walk about our communities. You know, if you want, I'll do that. I'll walk about and ask people, "What do you think of Stephen Nolan?" Doesn't need set up. Walk anywhere, any road, any street, with a microphone. What do you think of Stephen Nolan? But I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't do that to you, mate. You know, you got your own cross to bear. I know you're going to disappear to San Francisco when the shit hits the fan, when everybody really does awake and realize whose side you were on, because you're not on the side of the people. You're not interested in the real truth of what's going on in the streets. You're just running with a couple of wee clips in TikTok. And then you're waiting for the police to say something, and then you're running with that as well. You know, we get enough flack from all sorts of directions, as patriots. And life's difficult enough, you know what I mean? Uh, so all I'm going to say, and I'm going to leave it at this: Stephen Nolan does not deserve Freedom Dad on his channel. Simple as that. But if anybody else, any TikTokers, any YouTubers, want to interview Freedom Dad, find out what's truly happening in East Belfast, what's truly happening in Northern Ireland, why we're being treated the way we're being, why they're calling people racist, and how we can prove that they're lying, get in touch. I'm Freedom Dad, and God bless every single one of you.